Hello, and welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. This is a space for gentle beginnings and real change. Here, compassionate coaches, seasoned guides walk beside you as you reclaim your energy, your nature, your nervous system, and create healing from the inside out. If you're longing for steadier health, more authentic connections, and a life that feels like it actually fits you, you're home. One of our favorite parts of this work is getting to introduce you to the people who quietly changed my life behind the scenes. And today is one of those days. I'm welcoming my friend and fellow spiritual healer, Kaile Dutton. I've watched her growth through her own healing, stepping into her art in powerful new ways that offer guidance in lands like truth and kindness all at once. You're going to love the way she sees healing, creativity, and what it means to becoming. And I'm going to go on and I'm going to tell you more because Kaile Dutton is a spiritual healer and intuitive artist whose work bridges energy medicine and expressive art to help others remember their own strength, wholeness, and inner guidance. Her recent recognition on the Johnny Depp Sponsored Artist Program has invited the world to witness more of her creative fire and the depth of emotion she alchemizes on canvas. As a fellow healer and guide, Kaile brings grounded presence and finely tuned intuition and fierce compassion to the people she supports. She doesn't just do healing, she lives it, continually tending to her own growth, health, and resilience so that her work stays clean, clear, and deeply human. Whether she's holding space in a session, like with me sometimes, translating energy into art, or walking beside a friend in their path, Kaile's gift is helping others see themselves more truthfully and lovingly. She is an ongoing season of becoming, claiming her voice as an artist, strengthening her body, spirit, and allowing her guidance to expand beyond the labels into the life of service, beauty, and authentic expression. Thanks for being here. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I was excited that you had asked.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't, you would think that those of us in the healing industry, we would get time to, hang out and chill and talk about all the things, but we're busy doing all the things. So tell me, what have you been up to lately?
So basically, for me, it's always a one day at a time. It's always a one day at a time. And lately I've been into this understanding of structural flow. I do have paintings I need to be swapping out in my gallery representation over at True Grit here in Middleborough, Massachusetts. So I've been doing that. And just one of the coolest new things that I've been into is I've been offering readings for people because people seek me out as a reader and a healer. And I'm well versed in Akashic. I've been reading tarot and doing psychic intuitive work, medical intuitive work for over 20 years. But as I've been putting more the art, the intuitive art forward, I thought, wow, I really open my channel when I'm behind a paint or make mark making, and I wonder what it would be like to read someone's mark. So I put out this cool thing about make your mark, and just as an experiment, because even when I train people as readers and they kind of come to me for like mentorship or whatever, I always say to them, like, I want you to be able to read a bunch of sticks on the ground by the time you're done because I want you to trust your channel. So I just tried this, and it's getting unbelievable experiences. So that's the thing that I've been kind of putting a lot of energy into right now. I mean, I'm still available for all of the other things, but it's reconnected people to, first, you don't have to say anything when you do it. You're just
That is,
scripting on paper.
and everyone loves that.
Yeah, so you don't have to come with a question. You don't have to, like, and I like that, like, especially if you're doing Akashic Records, I feel like people kind of misunderstand sometimes or misuse what the Akashic is for. You really should have very clear questions about, like, your past lives, cycles in your life, things like that. But in the marks reading, you don't have to do anything but express yourself visually on a piece of paper, and just fill the piece of paper with whatever you want. Could be color, could be not. And then I just take a look and I spend a couple days with it. Sometimes I get stuff right away for people. It really, the energy is moving through the marks. And even like, I gave up mediumship for a while because people just got hard. But the mediumship has been coming back through. Just what people are receiving through this has been direction, questions they didn't have to ask that went completely answered, tons of validation in areas where they were feeling completely lost and just did not understand, solidification of timelines, and real direction instead of giving a reading or a healing where after it you don't know what to do. I think a lot of readers read like that. I personally choose not to. I'd rather be like, here's all this interesting information. Now let's help you do things with it so you don't feel like you go home with a notebook and don't know what to do with it. And they're getting that without having to sit in front of me with asking anything. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So how did you first connect your art with your energetic work?
Yeah, that came later for me. I've been an artist my whole life for other people. It's what I went to school for. And I even helped a lot of healers find their visual voice through branding. I don't do that anymore. It's just, I would for the right person, but I generally don't. And I started painting in 2016 for myself for the first time because I had been painting murals and doing things for large companies. I was the lead in-house designer and muralist for Bodeborg Boston. We were the first group to open, the first in America.
Wow.
And something during that time, I was going through some very, very difficult spaces. Just really hard time with my body. I was undergoing misdiagnosis for chronic illness. And I just knew that if I didn't put that energy somewhere that had nothing to do with work, that I was probably going to have a nervous breakdown. So I started painting in my kitchen. I started painting in my bathtub. And I found a meditative space in abstraction work. Because I primarily had not been an abstract artist. Always loved it, but didn't really do it because I was painting realism or doing realism stuff for other people. And I've had a lot of people say to me, why aren't you doing soul portraits? Why aren't you doing, aura readings for other people? And I was like, that's a lot of pressure. I don't want to draw people in spirit. No. it just, I felt crushed as an artist to do that. So then I would say in the last couple of years, because all I had really in a lot of ways due to my own personal journey was my art. And I could fit when I didn't feel well. I could pick up a brush. I could paint. I could make marks. I had enough energy to do that, even if it was just a couple of quick, swashes.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the first gallery showings that I ever did of my work, I had people stand in front of those paintings and tell me they were having energetic experiences. One woman had a full-on meditation experience within 5 minutes that she was standing there. I have collectors now who collect my work who are womb healers, and they have had clients meditate with the paintings and they have become pregnant. Stuff lightly because I think it's very dangerous to make really strong claims because everybody's different, but I thought I have something here. Then I had people meditate with the paintings, and they were having, I ran meditations with paintings. They just didn't know what the paintings were until they sat in front of it and I unveiled it.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, I'm translating whatever happens as healers, whatever happens as readers through another medium. Absolutely. And hadn't considered that before. Yeah. So
it is so, and I know when I look at your work, I see your work on Facebook, and every once in a while you're saying, I need to do something. What is this like? And I have words, I have feelings, I have emotions that just jump right off that screen. It's like, oh, girl, you gotta say, because your art does speak. And I think that sometimes we forget that about a lot of other art. When it gets so mass produced, we lose that feeling and that charge that comes from just that initial just flare what it is. And then to be able to turn so many of your gifts into something that you can speak to and for others is just incredible.
Thank you.
So
Yeah,
I,
it's been unfolding for sure. Because there's, I walk the path of embodiment. There's priesthood in my experience, and that's, being birthed through not claiming it and just deciding I am one. There's a lot of things that go in. Like, I just feel like the last 10 years have been the longest dark night of the soul I've ever experienced. It's extremely humbling. And the things that call you, you think, why would I go that path? But when things come into your zone and that you can't unsee, you just think, all right, well, I'm going to follow this. And I think through the whole thing, including the art in the practice of all the things that I do as an energetic healer for people, for me, I'll tell you, it's teaching me to follow my intuition in a very different way for self. And I'm super grateful for that.
and I think that that is so important that people do hear that. There's all kinds of noise and chatter, and I'm forever talking about calming the noise, getting in touch and in tune and tuning into yourself. But I think that people really, really need to hear that and embody that, that they've got to quiet the noise. They've got to find a calm. And whether that is through, looking at your artwork and doing meditations with you or beginning their own practices, they need to do something,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Absolutely. I think that's the power of what, I'm personally trying to build in the art practice, but in the art world, I'm trying to bridge the gap between people who appreciate art or don't identify as an artist, but understand that they need emotional relief, they need transformation, and they need to be able to do it in ways where they don't feel like they always have words, but the words find them. They find the words through this.
Yeah.
And even in my own practice, like, we were both trained as theta healers, and even though I don't know that I can call myself that, because wherever I go in that healing realm for people is very different probably than what Vaya shows people, but there is something about the language of art and music that transcends verbal language, and it
Hmm.
reaches people in a different place. It teaches you to feel again. And how hard is it for people to feel safe in sensory, in emotion, in everyday feeling? We squeeze it up, we bottle it down.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
We are controlling our control. Don't
absolutely.
say this, don't think that, don't cross your T's this way. I mean,
Yeah,
we've really gotten into, and I know, yes, when people come to us and they don't necessarily, they know they need something, but they don't know the right question to ask or the right word. And that's why when I saw that you were putting out the mark work, just having people just present and let you, I mean, I look at it from being a crocheter, it's like handing me their ball of yarn that's all tangled.
I love it.
To help them to really get into those little intricacies and discover what more it means. And I think that it would be so meaning to someone that, yes, when we use tarot, we use any of those other things, we're using from them. I mean, they're the initiator. We don't just walk through the world and see and hear things and know who they're about.
Yeah,
But I think that that would just really bring people on board to have that deeper connection into creating what they need to hear from you through that representation. I think it'd just be so cool. So
yeah,
incredibly cool.
yeah. And I feel like this is a very forgiving way to do shadow work. I'm very big into inner child work. I'm very big into subconscious patterns. I'm very big into, you know, um, embodying your truth, your self energy. What is your truth? Defining that for self, bringing yourself back into a place where you can trust what you're experiencing versus all the gaslighting that we're continuously around. And there's something about doing things the way that I have combined this tool bag to do. And I had a client sign on with me for 6 months. No, 3 months. So 1 week we did energetic work, clearing and digging and just tracking things through space and time and genetics and doing the clearing that way. And then in the following week, we do an integration session with art in the studio. So I'd rent a studio space and she would come and with me and I would channel projects for her. you know? So I would present her with the project. And we always do like a meeting beforehand, like what are your goals, what's happening. So I flesh out all these packages for people that are completely customized. And the stuff that was coming through this girl who never identified as an artist, but wanted creative expression so badly, now she has it as a part of her daily life, like has to create as part of her own physical being. It's incredible. The healing that came through, the awareness that came through, the transformation that came through for her. I mean, I just kind of stood back and thought, okay, we really have something here. You know, this is real.
Yeah. And your ability to create on the spot and to know exactly what each person needs in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, that I think is just so incredibly important to be able to identify and to view that. And I think it is important.
Yeah, I do think that people always ask me, what makes you different? And I think actually I never really could answer that question until you just said that, because I actually really am good at that. I can see and help people interrupt patterns in the moment through verbal language, through watching their energy, and through scanning the wide world of whatever is in the psychic realm of things. You know, and I can flow in the moments of that, and I can pivot real quick with someone. I never really considered that until you said that, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. At that, let's take a pause here and we'll go to our first commercial break.
Got it.
Have you encountered a situation or an event in your life that's caused you to feel stuck? You are on a journey to live your best life, but thoughts and feelings from the past keep showing up and has caused you to feel like you're not headed in the right direction or being the best version of you. Meet Jessica Hammock, trauma recovery and transformation coach. Not only will she teach you about emotional and mental health, she's here to help you unwind the treasure of who you are from the trauma of your past so that you can walk in the truth of your identity and break free from what is holding you back so you're able to nurture the best version of who you're meant to be. The time is now. Let's get started. Have you encountered a situation
Ding it.
And I'm back.
Ah!
Oh, technology is wonderful when it works. So, what do you think as you continue to grow your practice? And I know you grow your practice in a way that you are absolutely growing on this and changing and adapting every single day. What do you think is the most important thing for you to listen to as you find that shift?
Honestly, more and more, just that inner guidance, that intuition, that yes pull. And it's funny because I feel like I get a lot of no's. even with really cool opportunities, and I just get this feeling like that is not going to work for me. I don't even know the details. Or I'm generally someone who does not like to make decisions without a lot of information, because I feel like knowledge is power. And when I can combine knowledge with intuition, I feel like you have all the things you need to know, but now that you have that, how much can you feel into it? Because I will say, when I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but I am. When I made decisions only based off of knowledge, thinking that could do something amazing for me, boy, did it land me in hot water, you know? And I've tried to explain this to business coaches over the years, and, you know, well, you got to show up here, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I've really strong, being in the marketing world, especially as a designer for so long, I have really strong opinions now about how things are changing, especially in the healing communities, about how you market yourself, how you sell, how you find clients, and what that can look like as a reputable service provider. And I think following intuition will trump all of it. You know, there's just a lot of mistrust out of there, and I think we as people who are energetic, people who are artists, people who are musicians, we have a big, huge gift, which is finely tuned senses. We are sensitive beings. That's our superpower. And I feel like the more that we can lean into that superpower that we give to others is really key. So I'm kind of waiting from a big ass yes. You know, I did the Johnny Depp thing because I felt like that was super important for me to do. And I never, ever would have done something like 5 years ago. Me would have been like, F that, not doing that, stupid, you know, but I did it, and my work got seen. You know, I mean, I'm almost 50 years old. Being seen in exposure does not pay bills, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, I think it allowed me to network also with some other cool people. It's an amazing resume piece. I got seen by, you know, people who were in LA. So people are watching your stuff. Mm-hmm. So at the very least, you never know how things are going to affect. And I'm glad that I did it, because even if the only reason why I did it and followed that intuitive pull was because it showed me that something in me healed in order to do that, then that's enough for me.
I think that is very well spoken, more than you're aware. That, you know, to share your vulnerability, that every day when we wake up, we all wake up and we all have a level of vulnerability, and how much of that we share. But I think that it's also important that you acknowledge that those vulnerable parts, because those are also pieces and parts that can grow.
Yeah.
And if you keep them covered and hidden, they will never grow. You know, and so sometimes, you know, that's those pieces of your work that had to become more visible. Because I remember when you were first considering doing the Johnny Depp thing, and it was like, do I not? And I think and I know it was a huge leap of faith for you to be more discovered and to see that much. But I look at the growth that you've had from that as well. You know, coming up with your new marks for, what is it called? What are you calling this?
Well, I was called Make Your Mark readings. But I also refer to it as like the Scribble readings.
Oh, I love Scribble readings. Yes.
Well, you know, because when I marketed it, I said to people, I was like, make your mark and be seen without feeling like you have to explain yourself. And that's what it is. People are tired. People are in pain. People are exhausted. We don't need to keep talking about their pain points and things like that. What they need is hope. What they need is validation. And even though there's a large world out there that says, oh, don't get involved in the validation bandwagon, I actually don't agree with that. Otherwise, we would not be communal individuals.
Right.
You know, we would not be communal people. Like, we need our people around us. The only problem or time where validation becomes a problem is if you become addicted to it. You can't learn to live without it. But it's actually a huge part of the human experience. So please, out there, stop telling people to not ask for validation, because we actually need it. We are communal beings, you know, and at the very least, you know, the Make Your Marks is about being vulnerable through a state of play without feeling like you have to overthink. Let yourself go, showing up, and letting someone else answer those unanswered questions. But it's really coming from your energy. It's really coming from the source that channels through. You know, it's that idea that, you know, healers are holding the space for the thing to happen, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's really important. I know when I went to my last show and Tracy goes with me to my shows. She's my handler, my bestie, you know. And what she continuously hears from people as they leave having a good reading is that that person gave them the guidance. You know, we are here to hold space and to invite whatever needs to come in for that person. And different people have different reading styles, absolutely. And yes, we bring this whole ball of wax and a great big tool chest of all the things we've learned. You know, a lot of it is life experience. We've, you know, you and I both have had some formal training through theta healing, and we've also taken other classes. I even took the toe reading class. I don't profess to be expert in it, but I expanded my horizons and I looked at it and said, "Oh, that's more than I care to carry at this time." But I think that it's, yeah, that we bring all of those things.
Yeah. It's fun having a large toolbox. I have always customized things for people. I don't believe that healing is one size fits all. I mean, I started as a Reiki master teacher, and I spent quite a few years. I did not do weekend warrior classes. That is not what I believe in as a teacher and someone who wants people to feel like they have a good grip on the information that's being transferred, you know, to them and through them. You know, I spent time, and little by little, you know, people used to say to me, like, "I know you were trained in Reiki, but I don't know what you're doing," and it's definitely way beyond Reiki. And at the time, like, who the frig knows, right? So then I just start stumbling into different things, Shambhala and multidimensional paradigm, and then I'm being taught from different shamanic practitioners, different practices within shamanic traditions, you know, and then moving on to the theta work. And I just feel like I was able to innovate off of all those things. So when someone sits with me, I completely customize. And then I started developing my own somatic work based off of all of my understanding. And you know, I'm not trauma certified, but I'm trauma aware. And I would like to do certification in the future just because I think people prefer to look at someone's piece of paper. But this is work that I've been doing for over 20 years, and you can't not be exposed to trauma awareness, whether it's in your own journey and you're doing psychotherapy or you're like, I definitely did 3 months worth of intense learning. It was like a structured class where you're learning about all these different nuances within healing trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in that class from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon for like 3 months.
Ooh.
So it gives you a really good, like, strong foundation to understand that healing is not one size fits all. And you have this beautiful toolbox that you can customize for people, and it's so important that we do.
Yeah. So we do all the training and all the collecting of all the neat things that allow us to help others. What are some simple rituals or habits that keep you grounded as the creator and as a healer?
Well, ocean does that for me. Anything water. I have to be surrounded or go visit waterways or visit ocean, anything nature. I'm very connected to elementals and elements. I would tell you that whatever people want to describe as their rituals, priestesshood, things like that are definitely fire and water based.
Oh.
So those are the things that cleanse me, clear me, ground me. I do meditate daily, and I lately have picked up Tai Chi because I have been wanting to do Tai Chi for years. And the more I learn about what that is and how that continuously strengthens your own life force energy, the more I'm like, I need to know more. And I'm totally like an Eastern philosophy geek. So I'm all about Shaolin, legacies. Like, I love that stuff. My poor boyfriend comes home, he's like, Kung Fu again? I'm like, yeah. So, the Eastern philosophies and things like that just really light me up. So anytime I can sit, meditate, move the body, and involve it with anything elemental is really the go-to. Plus, I have a healthy dose of like folklore, witchcraft kind of stuff. Like very, very, those small little rituals where I just need something to feel clear, it's very powerful for me.
Those are. And I think that those are the things that, some people talk about having rituals, altars, different places and everything. And being in the Midwest, I tend to use more generalized terms of having your quiet space, having the things that you can go to, that you can do, crochet, draw. I love adult coloring books, those things. Because with that attention deficit, I'm not always the best at meditating for long periods of time. But boy, I can do those other things really, really well and allow myself to get grounded and to learn and embrace those things. And I think that we are constantly learning things. That's what keeps us fresh at doing the things that we do. So let's take our last commercial break here, and then we'll come back and talk about some more stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Is your skin aging, dry, tired, and dull? Are you putting on more and more makeup to cover the fine lines and flaws? Now you don't have to. Coolness Skincare, developed by a middle-aged woman just like you. 2 years in formulating pearlescent face and eye serum cream with Schisandra berries and dragon's blood extract for your face, eye, and neck. And the vegan version, Deep Love Face Cream, featuring powerful blue tansy. This face cream is everything you are looking for. Feel your beauty. Visit coolness.com or scan the QR code for more information. Is your skin aging?
She looks like she has it all together, but inside, she's exhausted, disconnected, and asking, is this really it? I'm Amanda Beth. I help visionary women shift from burnout to embodiment, from survival mode to soulful success. Through intuitive healing and aligned strategy, I guide them back to their power so they can lead with clarity, confidence, and calm.
I was floored at how effective and powerful and insightful everything was in this journey. She is amazing, and you should absolutely do it.
This isn't about pushing harder. This is about rising with purpose, prosperity, and peace. And we're back. Okay, so what have we not covered today? What do people need to know? Like, I don't know, I always feel like people ask me the silly questions like, what do people need to do to start their own practices? What's your take on that, or anything like that?
I think if people are looking to start their own healing practice as, well, I guess we could ask it this way. Do you mean as a practitioner or someone who wants to heal themselves?
I think that as people are healing themselves, they do become somewhat of their own practitioner, but I think there's more people who are ready to really start taking a journey on themselves and maybe not feeling like how they pick someone to help them with this.
Yeah. I think that that's a really good question because, in this day and age, I feel like the healing world has become extremely saturated. And it's hard to cut through the noise. There's a lot of performance spirituality out there. There's also a lot of people, I believe in capitalism, charge what you want, but I don't always find that the value is there via the pricing of things. And I'm having people come to my practice saying, like, this is what I did and this is what I paid and I got no results and I just like coughed. Like, I don't know who you're attracting those clients, but can I have some? So I think if you're starting your own healing journey, the one thing I would want to say is, A, you don't have to relive every second of your trauma in order to heal. Healing.
Amen. Amen.
It can be simple. It doesn't mean it won't be emotional. And I think therein lies the distinction where some people come and they're afraid they're going to have to relive a trauma. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's very important to be trauma informed when you're doing work like this, whether it's hands-on, multidimensional, it doesn't matter. Because if someone has a healing response and that scares the shit out of them, then you need to know how to flow within that and give the proper support or know when it's time to call someone else in to help ground this person. You know, so know that it can be simple and you are in the driver's seat. If something does not feel right and you have worked with a practitioner or you're going to work with a practitioner or if you've been solicited by a practitioner, most of us don't solicit you, just saying, and it doesn't feel right, I'm going to ask you to trust your gut. You always have the power to say, no, that doesn't work for me. Hey, can you explain that? I really encourage people who are choosing to work with a practitioner that you work with someone who you feel safe in asking questions. You feel safe in saying, I'm not sure that this is working for me. Can we re-examine it from another lens or re-attack it from another level? Because it's your body, it's your mental health, it's your spiritual health, it's also your physical health. So those would be the first things that I would say. And honestly, don't be afraid to vet someone. I know that there aren't a lot of ways maybe to vet healers, but I would say when you go for a job or somebody's interviewing you, do they ask you for references? Sure. You know, if you came to me and asked me for references, I'm going to give you the best damn references I have. I'm not going to give you someone who complains. But, I think it's important for you to feel safe in saying, like, I'm going to look at their reviews or I'm going to look, ask them for some references and have a conversation. You don't have to go into any healing relationship line. And if at any point you feel like there's a line that's crossed, do not be afraid to address that issue and terminate the working relationship, but
as you would in any other situation.
Yeah, any situation. You don't ever have to feel like just because someone calls themselves a healer, that automatically puts someone like you or I in a position of power. I don't believe that. I think it's totally fine I don't like to call myself a healer, but I don't feel like using that title means I'm putting myself in a position of power over someone, because it's not up to me. It's not up to me what happens in the session. What happens is up to what you're willing and ready to dive deep and allow us to help you through things that are uncomfortable. So there's a difference. There's a difference between reliving a trauma act and moving through something that you might have to emote around.
Yeah.
Because
there are so many things that come into the healing space that I think are often overlooked as being something that needs healing. Time helps, but just time alone oftentimes doesn't do it.
Yeah. I think sometimes we need hand-holding.
Yes.
We do. Sometimes we need some hand-holding.
Just somebody that says, yeah, I get you. I've heard you. I've been there. I haven't worn the exact same shoe size, but I've been similar roads. And I think that is important, and to have that ability to find people where they are going to fit into your path. And I guess maybe that's it. It's more of finding who it is that is fitting in your path. Whose Facebook page or social media did you come across? And when you see them several times, it's kind of like the cardinal. Okay, how many times do you see a cardinal before? I'm sorry, that's a stereotypical one. I call that.
I found a feather when I was walking in the forest, and they live there. They live there. Yes. Yeah, we can get very, very bypassy when we feel the need for validation. We can get very bypassy when we're we're hurting and we're wounded and we're feeling like we need support or we need that sign. We're just craving it. So I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can stretch it really, really far, but I think that first of all is understanding that we don't have to do it alone. There is someone out there. Um, there is someone who will meet the needs for what you are going through in that moment, to get you lined up with the right person. And I mean, I know, Kaile, and we talk about, different people that we know in the healing circle because, yes, being able to refer out to someone else who does specialize in something that we don't, because we
I think
can't do it all.
absolutely one of the strongest, most beautiful gifts that any practitioner can give a prospective client or even a client that's been working with them for so long is to say, I think we've outgrown each other, or I don't believe that I'm the right person for you. And doing an intake call is good. I get a little suspicious of people who won't do some sort of intake call, and I've met them. They're like, I even asked one healer recently, I said, can we just do an intake call? I'd be curious as to what it's like to work with you. She goes, nope, I don't do any of that. And I was like, okay, immediate no for me. Like, because, I mean, I just feel like everybody feels energy differently, right? So for me, I can really get a key in when I'm sitting back and forth with someone like this because I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you, I'm feeling you. And that's more for like packages if I'm going to do long-term transformation for people. Like if you just want a one-off reading, like you can just go ahead and book, that's fine. But, I get a little skeptical of people who, if I'm going to be working with them long-term, that doesn't want to have a conversation with me.
Yeah, that concerns me as well too. Not that they're hiding or the people who can only tell you about their certifications. They can't tell you about their experiences or, and there is a lot that goes into how we put ourselves together. How, do we use the term reader versus healer versus practitioner? And unfortunately, so many of those, the lines blur. They blur as to what you need. And I think the biggest thing is you need someone who's going to be honest.
100%. I have unfortunately seen a lot and heard a lot in the time that I've been in industries where people do use those positions and manipulate and have maybe said some things that could have had truth to it, but were used in ways that kept someone coming back versus like healing them and letting them go until they need you to be back with you. To the point where I've heard healers say, like, if you don't come and see me weekly, you're going to die. That actually happened. No, it happened, and it's a bummer, and I think it, goes back to what we said, like when you're looking for a practitioner, I think it is hard to navigate and see things, but, you can always ask people's experiences and, it's important to, again, follow that intuition. Everybody has different ways of working and feeling people's energy. I just prefer to have conversations to kind of see what's happening and feel that out. But just don't be afraid to say yes to the thing that feels right and no to the thing that makes you want to throw up in your mouth a little bit or just feels off.
And having those difficult, conversations with clients or prospective clients or even coaches. I've hired coaches and said, whoa, this is not, no. And yeah, you walk when it doesn't fit. And having those clients, it's like, what you're asking from me is not something that I do. I'm not comfortable with. I'll help you find somebody else, but it's not going to be me today. And those are hard. Those are hard calls. But I think that one of the best things I like to pride myself is I know what I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not going to fake it. If I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Because I don't want to put anybody in a position, including myself, to, that feels inauthentic, not genuine at all, or could possibly do damage some way, that would, trigger something, or, you open a can of worms and then you don't know how to put back together. It is. I think that's actually the biggest wisdom. And it's also, even with healers, kind of like I said earlier, we don't know what we don't know. So even in our home healing process, like, we can only get so far sometimes because we're close to it, right? And believe me, people like you and I, we do a lot of healing. We share stories with each other. We're like, so I was doing healing the other day and I got this. Holy crap. Like, great. But sometimes you'll hit a wall, and that's why there are people out here. Healer, heal thyself. That's such a distorted teaching, because sometimes you need someone. You need someone to hold you by the hand and say, how can I support this process for you right now? What is it that you need? And how can I help you uncover what you feel like you're looking to uncover?
And we've had some of those texts, some of those most amazing texts. It's like, hey, how you doing? And it was like, oh, well, didn't mean to spill the beans, but here's how I'm doing,
What happened?
Yeah. Every client, I've got the tears flowing. It's like, whoa, didn't know I need to cry about that today.
I love it.
I think it's so important to remember, we're souls having a human experience, and it's not always fun or attractive. Can you think about a time that you almost gave up on yourself but didn't?
Oh.
What helped you to stay?
I would say there were multiple times over the last 5 years where I closed my business multiple times. I backed away. I only took people through referrals. And there were many factors that involved, that decision. Many factors that brought me to that space. And what kept me going was, first of all, my two bookends. My best friend, Lish, who is the other half of my brain.
We have to have those other halves of our brain every once in a while.
Yeah, no one prepares you for the girlfriend that comes into your life in your, mid-40s, and it was like the sister you were wondering where she was the whole time. If it weren't for her, and probably my sweetheart Erin, there's a good chance I probably wouldn't be alive. I struggled with some pre-series things, and that, if you want to call it, that dark night of soul ramped up, especially difficult in the last 6 years. And I needed to have people grab me and say whatever it is they needed to say, like, you're not broken, your gifts are still here, your body just needs rest, it's going to be okay. So I think for me, the chronic illness, quick backstory. So undiagnosed chronic Lyme for years, terrible experiences with doctors, all that. Like, a lot of people who listen to this go, I know that story, right? That gave way. I had COVID during treatment for Lyme disease, which activated Epstein-Barr in my body. Then I got COVID a second time. Then I got influenza A. So I've been on this long COVID long haulers for a while, and it's really done horrible things to my body. I felt like I was the person who hiked and had yoga practice every day. I kayaked, I swam, very active. The way that changed my body and changed how I needed to work, which is probably the other reason why the art is such a huge part of what happened for me, because I could no longer work. I couldn't grind. I was a grinder. I couldn't grind. Hustle and grind cannot exist in my life anymore. And I almost gave up multiple times because the pain, emotionally and physically, at times was so great that I couldn't get off the couch for days at a time. And it plucks forward any area of unworthiness that hasn't been looked at. Impostor syndrome. Who the hell am I to be helping other people heal themselves when I can't miraculously snap my fingers when I've made miracles in the presence, or this person has had a miraculous experience in the presence of whatever we're creating together, and I can't zap this out of my body? Yeah. Real hard on my brain from all the original programming that happened when I was first in the industry, that always questioned but couldn't lay down because people just parrot it over and over again. You know, you cannot bypass human in this world. I don't care what people say. You're here to be human first. Everything else is afterwards.
Right.
So I want sacred spirituality and humanity to find a better meeting place. And believe me, I love all the woo. But at this point in our lives, in our human experiences, people need something relatable, tangible, hopeful, helpful, real results driven. And I feel like people like you and I, we do our best to give that. I mean, no one will walk away from our table saying, that didn't work for me. I don't have anybody that I have seen over the last 25 years of my life who have said, you did not change my life. So you hear that from a client, but I can't fix my own body.
It is because I too have had that autoimmune human body, or my other friend calls it the meat suit experience, that just really, really makes us question a lot of things that we do. I think that also makes you dig in. It's like, wait a minute, I was able to help so many other people. There has to be help for me.
Yeah, it's a hard blow. It's a hard blow. And I'm still, in recovery mode in certain ways, but I truly believe that if it hadn't been for Lish and Aaron specifically, and I don't want to discount, because there'll be people who are listening to this that know me. I don't want to ever discount anybody who didn't come to the table to support me, because I had a lot of help. I did not get to at least the level of where I am without people like you, without quite a lot of other healers who offered sessions, because man, not good. And I just thought, I have all this talent. I'm pushing 50. How did I end up here? How did I end up in this space? Then you look at and second guess all your decisions, even the intuitive ones that told you were supposed to do this thing.
Yeah.
I probably did a lot of damage to myself outside of contracting a virus that I had no control. It's not, I don't believe it's people's fault that you end up with things like cancer. Does emotional things kind of influence the health of our body? Yes. But please, spiritual people, stop blaming people for contracting diseases. Please stop doing that. Yeah.
That's not how it goes. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So Kaile, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to track down your art and your just amazing energies? How do we get a hold of you?
Thank you. Yeah. So you can email me at any point in time. That's probably the easiest. KM Dutton, my last name, DUTTON @gmail.com. You can see my art on my Instagram page, which is kaile.dutton.art. That's Instagram. I also have a healing, more personal page on Instagram, which is just Kaile_Dutton. And then I just have a general Facebook page, which goes through everything. Also, that's just my name, Kaile Dutton. And lately, if you are a newcomer to Healing for Self, or you are a new and up-and-coming practitioner, I've been doing a series on my TikTok page that is called The Art of Self. That's going to be the new brand. It's called The Art of Self.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
It's really cool. Yeah, so I've been doing videos for people, things I wish I would have known or would have listened to my intuition for as I was becoming a practitioner. And then just my website, KaileDutton.com. Everything has my name in it. Kaile is how you spell it, and it's pronounced Kaile. So, just reach out. I'm actually pretty friendly. If something you ask me borderlines on session, I have boundaries like a badass. I'll probably just tell you to book one. But I want to hear from people. I want to know that you're okay, and I want to be able to answer your questions, because you're in the driver's seat of your own healing. And how are you going to know if I'm your person if we don't have a conversation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if today's episode spoke to you, don't just watch, take action. Book your free consult with one of our expert coaches at chronichealthcollective.com. For personalized support, subscribe to our monthly magazine for powerful tips from all 10 coaches to elevate your health, mindset, relationships. Join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, or catch past episodes anytime on E360 TV or YouTube.com at Chronic Health Collective. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much.